Hi, I'm Toby Lapinski for the New England edition of the Fisherman magazine with this week's web fishing report. I'm going to start things off this week by letting you know that the May monthly issue is due out this week, and as you will see, it's jam-packed with some excellent content as always. We have articles which cover early season doormat fluke hunting, a region-by-region look at the best spots to target the biggest striped bass in May, a look at chunking the surf, which takes on a more active approach as opposed to the standard bait and weight mentality, an article on bunker spoon trolling, one on finesse tactics for post-spawn largemouth bass, and much, much more. So take a look to the newsstand or your mailbox this week and give the May monthly issue a look. Got some big news this week on the season openers, as this Thursday, May 1st in Rhode Island, fluke season opens, and scup porgy season also opens this Thursday across all three states of Mass, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. So we got some action starting to go along with all the striped bass and everything else we've going on right now. As I noted last week, I'm looking for some seasonal photographs. I've got plenty of those winter ice fishing images, but I want to see what you're catching right now. So as always, I ask that you email me the high resolution original digital images to my email address at tlapinski@thefisherman.com. You never know, those images just might show up in an upcoming issue of the magazine. Moving on to the reports, beginning in Connecticut, Fisherman's World notes that there's been an increase in winter flounder catches in the Norwalk area this past week, which is very good news. And I'd like to remind you that the Connecticut DEEP adjusted the regulations for winter flounder in 2014, with the season now running from April 1st until December 31st. It's much better than the old 2-month spring season that we had. Bag limit still remains at 2 fish, but it's nice throughout the entire season to be able to add a couple winter flounder onto your bag. Moving over into Captain Morgan's, they report that a Hamo, Chatfield Hollow, and Quanapog have all been great for trout of late, and Quanapog has also been a very good spot for pre-spawn bass as well. So there's some good freshwater action going on. And I received word of increased catches of American shad in the Farmington River. This is something I used to do all the time when I was younger and still lived up in Massachusetts, and likely I'm going to try and get out this week and get in on some shad fishing myself. It's a ton of fun. Shad's considered one of the hardest fighters that you're going to encounter in freshwater. Definitely pound for pound, they put up quite the fight and test your tackle. Moving on into Rhode Island, Watch Hill Outfitters, Cardinal Bait and Tackle, and Galilee Bait and Tackle all report scattered schoolies are still being taken in some of the local salt ponds and breachways, and got some more consistent catches this past week as well along the west wall. These are always the early season schoolie spots that local anglers target, and things are really starting to get into gear. We get a little bit warmer water coming through, those bunker, hopefully squid, mix in with the herring, and likely we'll see some big bass in the mix as well. The Francis Fleet and the 7Bs over in Point Judith are preparing for the start of the fluke season this coming week, and hopefully we'll start sailing this weekend for those early season doormats. Word is that the commercial fluke guys are starting to get some fish locally. They have a slightly smaller size limit. I'm sure that these boats, once they start heading out, will be right on the bite. Moving on up into Massachusetts, most all of the reporting stations advise of schoolie bass in the local waters, but very few keepers are being caught so far. All the usual standard spots, your local backwaters, warmer spots are going to have some of those holdover fish, and the action has been pretty consistent in most places. Red Top reports that the herring run inside the canal has been filling up more and more each day with herring, but still not too much bass have found them just yet. I also got word of a whole bunch of bait fish down the east end, according to Canal Bait and Tackle. Word was those might be sand eels, but I'm not sure. But in any event, we're starting to get a lot more bait in the canal, so those bass should be hot on their tails. Mako's reports of some tog being caught at the Maritime Academy, but overall, black fishing up in Massachusetts remains slow. Still worth a shot, as it really should pick up any time now with the increasing water temperatures. Captain Jason Colby of Little Sister Charters began poking around for winter flounder this past weekend, but he's met some very cold water and some very slow action overall. Hopefully with a little warming this week, I might get out with Jason later in the week looking at a Thursday outing, so hopefully I'll have a report for you next week. But in any event, as the water continues to warm throughout the month of May, winter flounder action just continues to pick up and get better. Lastly, I'd like to announce that effective May 1st, there's some changes with the Gulf of Maine cod and haddock regulations. The cod minimum size has increased to 21 inches, the bag limit remains steady at 9 fish per angler. As far as haddock, the size limit stays steady at 21 inches, but the bag limit was cut from unlimited to 3 fish per day. For a complete rundown of the changes and why they were made, check out the fishing news section of thefisherman.com. So there you have it, this week's web fishing report. As always, I'm Toby Lapinski for the New England edition of the Fisherman magazine, wishing you tight lines on the water.